Namaste, my friends, and welcome back to the channel. So this is our 9th episode of Spiritual Intelligence, and so far we've laid a lot of the groundwork for this series. We've talked about the 7 levels of spiritual intelligence, the 3 states of mastery. We went over the SQ test and talked about where these 7 levels map onto our brain waves. So now we're ready to move into the next phase of this series, which is going to be much more focused on the process of inner healing and balancing and the process of cleansing our nervous system to allow these higher states of spiritual intelligence to begin manifesting within us. So I want to begin teaching you something over the next few episodes that I call the Ascension Spiral. And this episode is going to lay the framework for understanding the different layers of healing that we move through. And this teaching comes directly from the ancient teachings of the Vedas, which have stood the test of time and have been taught by spiritual masters for thousands of years. So I'd like to invite you to join me for this 9th episode of Spiritual Intelligence as we explore the 4 bodies of consciousness. So we're going to talk in great detail about the Ascension Spiral in next week's video. But in order to understand what the Ascension Spiral is, we first have to understand the 4 bodies of consciousness. And so these 4 bodies could also be seen as 4 different stages or levels of self-perception that consciousness can have. And depending on our level of spiritual intelligence, we're always in one of these 4 corresponding bodies at any given time. And we're going to look at where these 4 bodies map onto the SQ chart here in a minute. But when we understand each of these 4 bodies in great detail, it makes it very easy to identify which of the 4 stages of healing that we are currently moving through for any given catalyst. We know that spiritual healing is not linear, in the sense that I become aware of a trauma, and then I do a session of shadow work, and then it's completely healed. We oftentimes have to spiral back around to the same issue multiple times before it's unblocked within us, because we are multi-dimensional beings. And the 4 bodies of consciousness sort of show us the 4 dimensions that consciousness experiences as a self in the manifest universe. So spiritual healing in that sense is a science. It is a transmutation of energy within the nervous system, which can be directly observed within us as it unfolds if we know what to look for. It can also be seen as an art form, in that there are definite methods and techniques and approaches to our healing that facilitate this transmutation, as well as definite approaches which block or stagnate the process as well. So the Vedas teach that there are 4 distinct bodies of consciousness, which we perceive reality through at any given time. And the first body is called the gross body. And gross in this context doesn't mean disgusting. It means gross as in physical or dense. So the physical body, or gross body, is the first mode of perception that consciousness has, and it represents the waking state of consciousness. This is when our perception of self is that we are definitely a physical body, living in a definitely real physical world, and we connect with that world through the 5 senses: seeing, tasting, touching, smelling, and hearing. The gross body is the only body of the 4 that experiences physical death or dissolution, being essentially nothing more than a costume that the self is wearing to inhabit the manifest universe. It is a mass of flesh, blood, and bones, and it holds our instincts and our animal nature. It experiences only the manifest world and nothing beyond it. And everything the gross body perceives is through the lens of duality, such as pain and pleasure, good and evil, and so forth. So the physical body purely operates on biases and preferences. And so when the gross body is seen as I, then all the desires and cravings of the body are my cravings and desires. And now I can suffer at the hands of them. So this is the lowest level of self-perception and the first body of consciousness that we are all born into. The second body is called the subtle body, and it represents the dream state. This is our energetic body, which consists of the 5 different forms of prana that run through the nervous system, as well as the mind and the imagination. So what it looks like are the 7 energy centers, the 72,000 nadis that spread through the gross body, and the toroidal field that looks like that little bubble that wraps around the energy body. So all of the movements of the gross body are only because of the subtle body and the energy that's animating it. The subtle body contains our memories, our personal desires, and all the impressions or karmas from our current incarnation. The subtle body only experiences the mind-projected world of concepts and labels and biases. A Course in Miracles calls this the dream world. So when the subtle body is seen as I, we begin to know ourselves as a soul on an evolutionary journey, and we begin to become more concerned with our spiritual well-being rather than just our physical well-being. So this is the point where a person will begin engaging with spiritual practices like meditation, pranayama, and yoga, because it's understood on a deeper level that I am an energetic being, and I am here to evolve and to expand my energy level. The third body of consciousness is called the causal body, which represents the sleep state. It is also sometimes referred to as the bliss body. It is a state of pure forgetfulness, where nothing is known but the experience of bliss and emptiness. It is the body we plunge into during deep, dreamless sleep. Many monks and yogis who reach this non-dual void state of consciousness believe it to be the highest state of consciousness attainable, as it creates an incredible feeling of inner space, vastness, and emptiness of mind. It is the body you experience in the space between thoughts, in the first few seconds upon waking up, before thought arises. It is called the causal body because it is the body that holds all of the inactive impressions and karmas of our countless lifetimes, and it absorbs all the experiences and karmas from the subtle body after each lifetime is finished. These karmas are then placed into the deep subconscious void of the causal body, and that information is used to create or cause one's next incarnation. This body represents the don't know mind of Zen, where although one sees objects, one knows that they cannot truly be known conceptually, and that everything is ultimately a mystery. The causal body experiences only the unmanifest world. It is like enjoying deep sleep while being fully awake. Life appears like a dream, which one is only watching. There's no ability to be worried or concerned about one's life anymore, because everything is seen as arising out of the void and quickly disappearing back into the void again. The present moment is felt like a speck of dust floating on the surface of the ocean. All that one truly knows is emptiness and inner silence. So it can be said that to forget everything while in an awakened state is to enter the causal body. The fourth and final body of consciousness is called the great causal or supercausal body. And this body represents the lucid or transcendent state. It is where one knows themselves as pure infinite consciousness. For even though each of the 3 states of waking, dreaming, and sleeping comes and goes, the witness of these states does not come and go. The great causal body says, I am not a physical body, or energy, nor even space. I am the witness only. It is the body where we experience samadhi in deep meditation, which is the God absorption that lies beyond the bliss of the causal body. In the waking state, we take the physical body to be the most real. In the dream state, we take the energy body and the imagination to be real. In deep sleep, we take the void to be real. Yet in the fourth body, all three states of waking, dreaming, and sleeping only appear on the screen of consciousness. They are all seen to be equally transient. And so it is said in the Vedas that the one who witnesses and is unaffected by all three of these states is forever awake. The truly awakened one knows, I am the fourth state. Everything appears on myself, for I am pure consciousness. The four bodies of consciousness represent the four modes of self-perception that consciousness can perceive reality through, because you always see reality the way you see yourself. So it can know itself in the waking state as a physical body. It can know itself in the dream state as the subtle body. It can know itself in deep sleep as the causal body. Or it can know itself directly as pure consciousness, infinite and eternal. And this represents self-realization, or the singularity state. And as you've likely assumed, we can also map these four bodies of consciousness onto the SQ chart, just like we did with our brainwaves. And we can see which body of consciousness that we are currently perceiving reality through, depending on what our SQ level is. We know that our brainwaves tell us which body of consciousness we are in, whether in the waking state, dreaming state, deep sleep, or beyond. Our brainwaves will reflect it. So let's take a quick review at a few versions of the SQ chart to see how all of these models of consciousness tie in together. In this chart, we can see that at the gross body level, we are at the first two SQ levels of insanity or sanity. And this is where the vast majority of humanity currently is. Full identification with the physical body and no knowledge of anything beyond it. So life is basically just an endless fight for survival and dominance over others. At the subtle body level, though, we rise to the SQ levels of empowerment, awakening, and illumination. The subtle body cannot be penetrated completely until one has transcended duality, which only happens at the end of the illumination level. The causal body starts where the illumination level ends, at the level of mastery, at the third eye. This is a very difficult body of consciousness to move through, as the pull from the void is extremely heavy from within. Why progress when there's so much bliss here? Nothing really exists, so who cares? It's all just pure source energy appearing and disappearing into the void. People in the causal body are very silent within and are invulnerable to the ebbs and flows of life. It's an extremely peaceful and happy state of consciousness. But eventually, consciousness must transcend even this and move to the final layer of the great causal body at the singularity level of the crown. Now, let's review our episode on the brainwaves. When we stack this chart over the four bodies chart, this is how the 5 brainwaves compare with the 4 bodies of consciousness. At the level of the gross body, we are purely in beta. But once we enter the subtle body, we progress into alpha. And at the final level of the subtle body, we move into theta. Alpha brainwaves are produced during daydreaming and deep contemplation. And theta waves are produced during our dreams at night and during peak spiritual experiences. This is the illumination level. But once we enter the causal body, we are now in the realm of delta, which are the waves we produce in deep, dreamless sleep. This is the state of consciousness at the third eye level of mastery, where one knows only emptiness, inner silence, and bliss. Beyond that, though, is the land where very few souls in third density have tread. the great causal body of the singularity level. This is when gamma waves are predominant in the brain, as one's energy and perception are heightened to superhuman levels. So the reason that I'm providing you with so many different reference points in this series to study these 7 levels of SQ from is because when we look at something from multiple angles and points of view, it helps us to understand that thing on so many different levels and dimensions. And it also further serves to show us that these 7 levels of spiritual intelligence within us are not just mere speculation, but they are absolutely real, and they correlate perfectly onto so many other systems and models of consciousness which we have. But as I said at the beginning of this episode, the most important reason why I'm teaching you this model of the 4 bodies of consciousness is to help you understand what we're going to cover in next week's episode on the Ascension Spiral. Because this, I believe, is the most helpful model we have available for understanding the process of spiritual healing and integration, as it uses these 4 levels of self-perception we've just gone over today to help us better understand the process of healing that's playing out within us. And again, when you understand the process you're going through while you're working on healing or transcending something, it just makes the journey a whole lot smoother. The Ascension Spiral will serve as a powerful guide or reference point to know exactly which aspects of self have been healed based on what's showing up in my experience, and also which aspects of self might need to still cultivate more awareness around. So it's designed to show you where you are in the healing process and what still needs to be done in order to progress to the next level of healing. So in our next episode, we're going to explore the Ascension Spiral in great detail to give us even more tools to expand our spiritual intelligence and unlock all of that potential that exists within us. So I want to thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in our next episode. Hey everyone, thank you for watching today's video. I hope that you were truly blessed by it. And I wanted to let you know that I'm really excited to now be partnering with an amazing conscious supplement company called Organifi. A lot of you know that I'm also passionate about holistic health and nutrition, and Organifi has been a staple in my daily health routine for a very long time. They make the most delicious, organic, and high-quality superfood products that I've ever come across. And as you know, a healthy body is a great benefit for spiritual growth, because the health of your body directly translates to the health of your mind. Everything is connected. So feeding your body with high vibrational superfoods straight from the earth is one of the best ways to create that environment for a healthy mind. But getting all the superfoods that your body needs in one day can admittedly be a little bit tough. And that is where Organifi can add a ton of value to your life. I personally start every day off with green, which is Organifi's really delicious blend of 11 superfoods like ashwagandha, chlorella, and moringa. And then in the middle of the day, I'll usually have a scoop of red, which is a delicious energy blend full of 13 adaptogens and antioxidants from berries to recharge your mind and body with a delicious blend of organic superfoods. Your body is an amazing organic machine, but it needs the right fuel and signals to function at its best. And red is full of adaptogens sourced from organic herbs and medicinal mushrooms. And these are compounds that balance hormones, prime your energy pathways, and alleviate stress. So instead of crushing your adrenal system with huge doses of caffeine every day, adaptogens work with your body and give you natural, sustained energy all throughout the day. What's most important to me though about Organifi is the way that they go above and beyond to ensure the cleanest and purest ingredients in all of their products. They are USDA certified organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, certified glyphosate-free, and absolutely zero fillers. So I never go anywhere without Organifi, and I never miss a day without taking it. And Organifi is offering a super generous discount of 20% off of your entire order when you use the coupon code ABKE at checkout. So if you want to upgrade your health regimen with Organifi, you can click on the link in the description box below to learn more about all the amazing products that they offer. And I promise you that your mind and your body are going to thank you for it.